Greetings, family. This is Kyle Dixon, co-founder of Precise Minds Filmworks, educator for 20 plus years, cultural enthusiast.
And I'm Kayode Bentley, president and founder of 4T's Teaching Teens to Think, whose mission is to help inner city youth identify their inherent skill sets in order to complete their education, establish a career, and ultimately start a business if they choose to. Professor at Fordham University, where I teach students who are pursuing their master's degree in social justice.
And with that said, welcome to the Grand Rising Collective, a podcast whose purpose is to cultivate greatness and excellence within ourselves and our communities. The name itself is from the morning greeting of Grand Rising, which we interpret as starting off the day with a greatness mindset so that we are able to rise to the occasion of whatever obstacles and challenges we may face.
And that's why we focus on engagement, relevant information, and empowerment for people in our communities who want to be and do better in their daily lives.
Welcome to the Grand Rising Collective.
The easiest way to see this is from cryptocurrency. When you talk to people about crypto, they either love it or they don't understand it or hate it. And the people that love it, they're just on fire for it. Like, man, we can talk about crypto, blah, blah, blah. That passion is what drives the work. And that's what drives the research. And that's what does the hours and hours of studying, because I want to understand how this thing that I love works. And so that's the most important thing. If you're not interested in real estate, how many people said that your house is your biggest investment, but yet they don't make any money on their house? And then when their house went down during the financial crisis, they had no idea it was coming. But like you said, the banks knew it was coming. Everybody who was on Wall Street, they could see this financial crash coming. They got their money out of the way. So, if it's an investment, do your research.
That's a good point that you brought up, right? So this is philosophical. This question is going to bear on philosophy. So we as a culture are so preoccupied. And let me know if I'm disconnecting if you can't hear me. I know my internet is
You're good.
So we as a culture are so preoccupied with surviving, right? Living check to check, robbing Peter to pay Paul, that is it realistic enough to believe, if you want something bad enough, you'll make it happen. But I'm saying for those who don't have that aptitude, that don't have that fortitude or whatever the case may be, and just leveling the playing field, is it realistic enough to believe that somebody who's surviving and living from check to check and working on a job just to survive, is it realistic enough to think in terms of half of the majority that they have that time to discover what their why is, or they have that actual time to do the research? Yes, say for example, in stocks, do they even have the aptitude to know what books to even purchase or rent from the library? Do they even know where to begin? Is it realistic or reasonable enough to believe that people in our demographic can even broach that?
But they don't have to.
Opportunity.
Well, and the thing is, I would say they don't have to. Like if you are in your example, if you're living check to check, then you're probably working. If you're working, then going back to what we're saying, you're getting some kind of skill. That skill, you have to use that skill to do something else. You just have that skill becomes the most important thing. So instead of spending 12 hours, working check to check, or basically spending 12 hours at work and then coming home and try to spend another 3 or 4 hours reading a book, trying to get into another industry, just spend those 2 or 3 hours trying to figure out how to take the information from the 12 hours and turn it into a company. So that's a side hustle. Do something on the side, turn it into a side project. Most of these companies these IPOs and the stocks come from smaller companies. And those smaller companies come from entrepreneurs or startups, which came from original ideas. And so if you have an idea and you turn it into a partly running functional company, somebody will take that company and buy it off of you for 10 times the value. and then they will blow that up. And that's an entrepreneur is part of the stock market. Like that's a whole industry in itself. So instead of trying to say, well, what they should do is start to put their money into the stock market, maybe they should start trying to put their money into buying. If you're a plumber, you should put your money together with a couple other plumbers and to start trying to buy a plumbing company. Grow that plumbing company up to the biggest plumbing company in New York City and try to sell that off. That's your hustle. Like, if that's what you do, you're the best plumber. You know plumbing, like you've been doing this for 20 years. Your family's been in this. You already have the history. You know the connections. You have everybody. Why are you trying to go into finance? This is what you do. You're a plumber. Make your money that way. And once you start to grow that reputation under the plumbing industry, somebody's going to buy that for $1 million. How long is it going to take to buy $1 million? How long is it going to take to make $1 million in the stock market, especially right here? That's hard.
Very good point. I'm sorry, Cal. I'm coming out with all these questions, man.
Yeah, man. Now you got some good questions, man.
All right, thank you, brother.
You're on the same page.
So Tony, my demographic are inner city youth. So there's two questions I'm going to pose at you. All right. So the first one is for adults who have been in the workforce for 15, 20 years. They're already vested. They have a family. You know what I mean? They got this sort of, according to statistics and data, it shows that over 85%, and I'm sure it's probably higher, of the population are in jobs that they hate, that they can't stand, right? But they have to go there because they have to pay bills.
Okay.
It's not what they don't want to do. So in response to your solution, which was a great solution, what advice would you have for someone in that situation?
So it's back. What's your why? You said you have to pay the bills. Okay. Then which bills do you have to pay? How long do you have to pay them? Are they credit card bills that I can keep paying and get rid of eventually? Are they the mortgage, which my main goal is to pay that off? Or are these just, this is my cost of living. I have to pay this every day. Then if that's that. So then that's the first question. And then the second one, like you were saying, is if you hate it, why do you hate it? Do you hate it because your company and your boss, but you like your area? Like from what I heard, a lot of programmers, they just hate what they program. They don't hate programming. They love computers. They love where they're at. You should be trying to get out of there. So that's one of those things. But going back, many people hate their job, but they're just scared because of what they've been told. And they've been told that if you go out there, there's nothing else for you. This is the best house that you're ever going to find is this company. What we're paying you is the best that you're ever going to get. So and once you leave that door, you're never coming back. I'm never taking you back. And so now we're scared to leave. So that's why people are in jobs that they hate. But going back, if you're in a job that you hate, your number one thing should be every day I'm trying to figure out how to get out of this job. Building something else. There's other jobs and you can create your own job. I mean, think about it. There's 7 billion people on Earth and I'd say 90% of those people work and they're still looking for jobs. So there's over 6 billion different jobs on this planet. And that's just in the known universe. So you can find a job somewhere. Somebody's going to hire you to do something.